All right, we're going to try this a little bit differently today. I've got a bunch of stuff on this is what's on that folder that I asked you to copy over. There are 4 projects. They are all complete. I've got a bug in my to-do list, so that's not out there yet, but I will fix it and you'll get that next class. All right? But just so you know, you don't have to bring this up. But if I bring up at the S watch, this is that stopwatch. I've got mine fixed. All right, so that's what mine looks like. Again, you don't have to bring it up, but you'll notice that if I run it, and I stuck another icon up on top. I just put a trash can icon there. It doesn't do anything, so I didn't wire it up. But just so there's something everywhere on there. All right. And Terry just got back to me. He said, I can assign Juan a new VM. However, she will have to log out of her existing one. So if you're still in it, you're out?
Yeah.
All right, I will tell him you have logged off or out. Juan said she has logged out of her existing VM. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. So as you can see, it actually looks, I think, better at least in landscape view. So there's the start. You can see it works. Boom. I can pause, start it up again, and it starts back up. I can stop, and it goes back to 0, and I can start it back up again. The only reason I'm telling you this is if you had any problems with yours, now you've got one you can use. All right? So that's the first one. Again, not much more to say about it other than that. We've kind of talked it to death before, so hopefully everything's cool with that. All right, so again, that was the first one. Then, if you remember, again, this is just review, but just so you remember, I kind of fixed up my interface on here a little bit. Do you all know this? Because this is something I should have, I was thinking about this the other day, that there's a little bit of I don't know if you call it a shortcut, but let me run this first, then I'll show you the shortcut. All right. So this was the segue one, and I moved everything up so it's pretty much in the upper left-hand corner on both. Remember, there was no code in that particular example. All we did was we set up a label with something on it, like I put scene 1 and a button where I put go to scene 2, and then we've got another view controller that we added where we just basically reversed the two. All right. So you'll see with this one, once it comes up, that allows us to go from one to the other. All right. The other 2 projects are new, so we're going to talk about those, and I'm going to help you with those, all right? But I'd like to leave mine up there, so we're going to see how that's going to work, okay? Because I've got kind of the finished product, so to speak, all right? So again, with that segue, and I don't know, maybe that'll look better in landscape also. I don't know. Well, it doesn't look like it. Well, there you go. So go to scene 2, go to scene 1. Okay, remember that? So hopefully no one had any problems with that. All right? All right. So I want to show you something here, and I'm asking you, and if you didn't, okay, that's fine. But did you know this? That if you come up here, so I want to come up and here in Xcode, I just want to start a new project. it doesn't matter what kind of project it is. I'm not going to keep it anyway. So I'm just going to make it a single view. Next. Junk this. All right. Now, when everything comes up and you get your main storyboard, I think personally one of the things that they should fix, for lack of better words, fix isn't the right word, but I'll use it, is they should just give this a light, either change the background color of the actual screen or change the background color of the storyboard, even if it was a light gray or something, to make it easier. All right. But that said, if I take my mouse and I move this up, again, I'm not sure if you've seen this before or not. You know what this thing is, right? Up on top, that view controller. But I'm going to click that, and I want to show you what happens over here when I click that. All right. So I click it. And now notice over here it says size, and it says inferred. If I click there and choose, for example, iPhone 4-inch, you might find that much easier to go and actually create your stuff on. All right, that's just the way it looks on this screen. That doesn't change anything for the simulator or anything. But I've been starting to really do that a lot. I'm to the point where I wish they had like a 3 or 2-inch. All right, but it makes it much easier to draw stuff, especially when you start bringing in other storyboards and stuff. All right, I think it makes it a little bit easier. All right. So the next one that we're going to do, and again I don't need that, it's junk. All right, is I like us to do this one, but we're not going to exactly do it the way that it's shown here. We're going to create this, and this is going to introduce us to table views, because when we're doing that to-do list, we're doing the to-do list using a table view. All right, that's how we're going to do it. So we're going to make some changes on what I'm about to show you right here. That's what I'm telling you. All right, so if I go out and run this, it's a pretty simple example. I based it off of something on one of the courses that I was taking out on Udemy. I may have done this in the class last year. I did a little bit of jacking around with it this year. There's a slider on top that's going to go basically, for lack of better words, from 1 to 20. All right? And then what you're going to see is if the slider's at 1, it's going to have a table view, and it's going to have 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 3 is 3, down to 10. That makes sense? If I slide it all the way over to 10, then it'll be 10 times 1, 10 times 2, etc. So, I'm telling you, because you can see how slow my stuff loads on here. See, isn't it good? There you go. All right. So this is set up as a table view. So at the top, you can't see it very well, but at the top is a slider, way up on top here. All right, if I move the slider over about into the middle, so there's my 10 times table. Does that make sense? All right, because I tried to come up with something that would make sense to stick in a table, and I wanted it to be really, really simple. All right, when we are going to create this right now, but as you create it, okay, we're going to take our time with it, for lack of better words, okay? So I'm going to have you do a few things, and we're going to put the slider in right away, and we're going to put the table view in. That's going to be it for our whole interface. That's it, a slider and a table view. And when we first start doing this, we're not going to even worry about the slider. We're just going to do some stuff with the table view so you can see how that works, all right? So what I'd like you to do then is I'd like you to come in and just create a brand new project and make it a single view project. All right? Again, I do promise when we do the to-do list, which is the first thing that we're going to do on Tuesday of next week. All right? The first thing we're going to do on Tuesday is to finish up that to-do list. Okay? It actually won't take that much time after I explain this project to you, and then talk a little bit about the other one that's on your disk, which is on persistent data using NS user defaults. I don't want to get into that right now, but we will get into it before the period's over today. All right? If we get done with this and it's 4 or whatever, then that's just it for today. If it takes till 4:30, then that's it for today. I don't think it'll take any longer than that. All right? So everybody's done that. You created a single view application. All right. Then what I'd like you to do, so you've got something on your screen that basically right now looks like this. You just got your square. You don't have, you can make it smaller if you want to. I just showed you how to do that. But what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to go down into your object library. Now when I say that, we all know that I mean this, correct? Down here. And way down on the bottom where it says filter, all right, click in there and type in the word slider.
What do you want his name?
You can call it whatever you want. I called mine times table because it's a times table. All right. You're not turning it in. This is to get you going with using table views. All right.
You wanted us to filter for table views?
So under the filter, just type in table view right there. Right there. And you'll notice that when you do type that in, I can close this, but when you do type this in fact, let me just minimize it. And you type in here, table view. Notice what we get. We get 3 different things that come up in our object library. We don't want the first one, but if we did, okay, if we did choose the first one and we drag that out here, literally what it would do then would be it would add a brand new view controller with a table view inside of it. Okay? And that would be fine, but that's not what we want to do here. If we wanted to just be able to play with cells in the table view, and the table we create is good, every cell is going to be the same basically in its look and feel. All right, but if you wanted to do some customization, you could use that. What I'd like you to do though, all right, well, the one that we're going to choose is, in fact, what did I tell you to do first? Slider or table view?
Table view.
Table view. Change it to slider, because otherwise it might be tough where you position the table view versus the slider. So just type in slider there. All right. Can you see on here? Can you see where the hand is here, where I put the slider? Does that make sense to everyone? So take your slider and literally drag it up here. But put it up here, you know how you get the dotted lines here? And you get the dotted lines here? Put it up here so it's almost in the upper left-hand corner. Okay? Just stick it so it's basically almost in the upper left-hand corner. All right? And then once you've done that, grab the end of it and drag it over so it's in the other corner. So in other words, it should be up to the dashes that are here and here. So when you get done, it's going to look something like this. Something like that. All right? Boy, a career in graphic arts I could have had. Does what I'm asking you to do make sense to everybody? All right? With that still highlighted, let's go down to the bottom here. So let's go down to the bottom, and we're down here, all right, where we have this stuff. Let's click the third one over here. That's right here. Okay? And we do want to pin it to the left. So you want to click, mine don't show up very well, but you want to click that one and that one, and actually we want to pin it to the right too. So those 3. Now, does it make sense to you that what we're saying is whether, regardless of orientation, I want whatever your number is right here, I want it to be that many pixels from the top, that many pixels from the left, and that many pixels from the right, regardless of orientation. Does that make sense? Now, if you did that and you click the update three constraints, the thing that appears down there, if it's orange in there at all, if that happens, okay, then click the one that's next to it right here that looks kind of like the spaceship, the last one on the right. Click there and choose update frames. If that happens, it may happen, it may not happen, but if it does, just click that. Now, we're not going to run this, but if we did, does it make sense to you? We now have a slider on there that should be across the entire screen regardless of orientation. Does that all make sense? All right. The other thing that we want to make sure that we've set in here is for that slider, for the actual slider, as I've got here, all right, we want to make sure, you might have to click your attributes inspector if this isn't showing. We want the minimum to be 1, the maximum to be 20. Okay, we want the minimum to be 1 and the maximum to be 20. After you've done all that, then type table view in here. Sorry, I mixed it up. But then type table view in here. And we want to put a table view in here. And if you look up on the screen, if this is our slider right here, if that's where our slider is, literally, we want the table view then to be about the same width, but just leave a little bit of space. You can bring it all the way down to the bottom. That's fine. All right. But you're basically going to have it look like this, and it'll be where you have just a little bit of space between that and the slider. So apportion it out so it looks like this. Does that make sense? Drag it on there, and you might have to, you can put it in the upper left-hand corner and then pinch and drag down however you want to do it. All right, but make sure, because this is where you're going to put out your answer. So if you want to be able to put all 10 rows, you have to have it take up the whole thing. All right, once you've done that, then click on here on this third one, this one again. All right, so with your table view selected, right there, all right, and we click on the third one, pin everything. So we're saying we want it to be that many pixels from the slider, that many pixels from the left edge, that many pixels from the right edge, and that many pixels from the bottom. So you're pinning all 4, and then choose the, it should come up and say add 4 constraints, and click that button. And the good news is you're done with the interface, all right, because it's a simple interface.
We don't do update frame now.
If it turned orange, you can type in update frames. If it didn't, then just leave it the way it is. Anybody have any problem with that? Hopefully that was pretty simplistic to do. All right. All right, now if you would, and please don't type this in because it'll be wrong if you type it like this. All right, but now what I'd like you to do is the only thing that you really need to have open is this. All right, so if you do have your navigator over here on the left, remember you can click this button right here, and you won't need the object library, so you can click that button there. That should give you a lot more room on your screen, correct? All right, once you've done that, click the double circles to bring up your assistant editor. All right, I've got a lot more room in my assistant editor. Yours probably, you probably don't have that much room, but I want to be able to show you everything that's going on here. So I am going to move this over a bit and then move this over. All right. So hopefully right now, your screen pretty much looks like mine does. Don't worry about the prototype cells. We're going to add that. All right, we're going to add all that stuff. But first thing to notice, what we want to do is we've got a table view in here. You all know that. But the table view is under control of our view controller, our regular view controller. In other words, we didn't choose that table view controller. We just chose table view, right? All right. So what we're doing is we're delegating the responsibility of working with that table view. We're delegating it to our view controller. Does that make sense? But we have to let the system know that's what we're doing. We have to add this on your class line. So you've got class view controller : UI view controller. put a comma in there and type in UI table view delegate. And if you don't type it in that caseness, it won't turn blue. So it should turn, at least mine turns blue. I don't know if yours is the same color or not. But it should turn a different color. You know, I was thinking too that I should, about asking the school to get me, you know, one of the machines that the students have, you know. Hell, they're not even buying any more wipes, so.
Yeah.
Juan, if you haven't heard that, once we run out of wipes, they're not buying anymore.
Oh, really?
They're out of money till July.
No, we have to bring our own.
No, I'm just telling you, just so you know. All right, so everybody was able to do that. It did change color, correct? All right. Now, just so you know, there's a couple kind of goofy things that you have to do with a table view that you don't have to do with most other types of controls. All right? I'm going to show you it on here, but I'm going to just show you it but with my hand. But what I want you to do is take your mouse and click anywhere in your table view. Anywhere. Just click in it so that basically you've activated it. You know, and what we want to do is we want to control and drag, but not over to here. You know how we do this to go and add those things? We don't want to do that yet. What we want to do is we want to hold down on our control key, hold down on our touchpad, and drag up to the actual view controller that you see up there, that yellow thing. All right? The yellow dot that's on the top.
Just click.
Hold down on there, and then drag that up to here. No. Let go of that. Click off of it again. No, okay. Now hold down on this, hold down on the touchpad. You have to hold on to the touchpad too.
Use these.
And then drag up. You don't want that black box there.
Oh.
Just the same way that we would have brought it over to here. So however you do that.
What do I drag? Oh,
Just
here.
like that, and drag it over to the yellow thing. Now, when you do it, if it was correct, you should have two options. One, I think, says data source, and one says delegate, correct?
Yes.
You have to do it twice because you have to select both of them. So select either one, then go back and do it again, and select the other one, so that they're both selected. Literally what that's saying is we're using our view controller as both the delegate and the data source for our table view. All right, the next thing that we're going to do, and again, it looks a little bit goofy when you do some of this stuff. All right, I'm just kind of, for lack of better words, warning you, telling you, I don't know. All right, but again, you should still be on your table view, right? So I'm going to click on it here, and I am going to bring up my object library over here. All right, so I'm going to click on the table view, and I'm going to bring up my object library. I got to remember which one of these it is, because I don't remember. That's it. All right. So with that over here in your object library open, click on the fourth one over, the one right here. You're going to have to actually do two things. It's going to sound a little weird, but it's, I don't know why they've set it up to work like this, but they've set it up to work like this. Okay? All right. Do you see on yours, when you click that, do you see a thing here that says prototype cells? All right. Either manually type in 1 or probably even better, click the up arrow right there, because right now it's either not set or it's at 0. We want that to be set to 1. After you've done that, so after you've got the 1, okay, then take your mouse and click over here. Literally click over in here. So click in here. All right. Okay, good. Yeah, now click over here. Okay. When you clicked over there, when you clicked over in here, what you should have noticed that what changed on your screen, if you look at the object, look at my object library, please. And now what happens when I click? All right? This should have changed. Now you should have the word in there, identifier. If you don't, try again. And if you do, type in you can call that whatever you want, but if you're going to use the same code I have, you're going to call it cell and use a capital C because it's a variable name. Typically, that is what you call it because it's a table cell, C-E-L-L, capital C-E-L-L. Does yours now say prototype cells in it too? Good. Now, let's pretend for just a second, we're not doing this, but let's pretend for a second that this table, instead of having a times table like we're doing, let's assume that it's a list of every single user in your organization. You with me? Okay? And let's assume that what we want to do is if that user is logged into the system right now, we want their name to appear in the table in green, and if they're not logged in, we want their name to appear in red. Do you understand? Or we could have it white with a green background or red. That doesn't matter. The reason I'm telling you that is, would you agree we want it to look different based on whether you're logged in or not logged in? If that was the case, then instead of setting cells to 1, we could have set it to 2. See? Because we have 2 different kinds of things that we're trying to put into the table. All right? But we're just going to make a very generic, very vanilla-looking table. All right? So we've got all that stuff set. And now I could be wrong, but I believe I'm not. I don't think we're going to need the object library anymore. So at least for now, I'm just going to have it disappear for now. All right? Okay. The next thing that we want to do here, and don't worry about the order in which I have them. It doesn't matter, okay? But let's worry about our slider first. So as we always do your control click and drag down to here, make an outlet, not an action, from the slider down to here, and I call mine slider value. Make that one an outlet. So you shouldn't have to change anything. Literally, slider, the value of that is going to be the value of wherever the slider is currently at. Okay? That makes sense? Right now it's at 1 because I didn't change it from the default value. All right? So after you've done that, don't even worry about the table yet. We will do that one later, okay? But then, again, drag down from here over to here and make sure you choose an action this time. And I called mine slider moved. Okay? So again, forgetting for a second about this variable for the table. Just forget about it for a second. Do those other 2 things. So what we're going to want to do, again, don't worry about typing this in yet. It's okay. In essence, what this is saying right here is exactly what you think it would be saying. And that is, every time we move the slider, we draw the table. Isn't that what we'd want to have happen? Because if we move from 1 to 2, instead of having a 1's table, we want to have a 2's table. That make sense? All right. Again, I'm just trying to run that through with you. If you want, now you can just go ahead and drag anywhere on the table, drag over here, and make that, again, I call mine table. Kind of a dumb name, but it's the name I use.
I got a question. I keep saying NS. Is that like the new way to say next step or whatever?
Every NS, it's not the new way. Next step is actually over 20 years old.
Right, with C or something?
No,
Or-
what happened was when Apple kicked when they kicked Jobs out, he formed Next Step.
Oh, okay.
And when they wanted him back, they didn't want him back, but he had a really good operating system. That's what they used to build all the OS stuff.
That's what I thought, yeah.
All right. So what they did in kind of tribute to him or whatever is because the NS stuff, the operating system language was written in Objective-C, and everything you see in there with NS means next step.
Okay.
All right. Everybody all caught up then? You've got all that stuff done? All right. Now, we could manually type this stuff in, but it's a pain in the butt because the IntelliSense tries to help you, and it makes it harder. I'm just telling you, it makes it harder. Okay? So I'm going to show you what you can do. And either you're going to be like, and get it, or it's going to be like, maybe I should just type it in myself. You can do it either way. All right? But I want to show you the faster way to do it. Okay? Now, if you look up on the screen here, I showed you this the other day. You may or may not remember it, but I did show it to you the other day. And that is this, that if we take our mouse and literally put it on where it says UI table delegate. So if you take your mouse and literally put it on there where it says UI table delegate. All right, so take your mouse, put it on there. And after you do, John, all we did, you didn't miss anything, just take your mouse, put it over here where it says UI table delegate, and hold down on your command key. You know, the one that looks kind of like the score, like the infinity symbol. If you do that, if you hold down on it, on the command key, right there, you should get the hand like I've gotten. If you take your mouse, and then with that highlighted, if you click on your touchpad, what that will do is that will bring up the file that has that stuff in it. Sometimes it's easier to go out onto the API, grab the stuff you want, and copy it onto your machine as opposed to typing it in yourself. You may or may not agree with that. All right? There's two things that are in here that we need. But if you look, there's a lot of junk in here too. All right? So what we can do to help a little bit, to help ourselves a little bit here, is we can come in and we can filter. So if you, with all this highlighted like this, if I do a Command F, and if you do a Command F, you should now get this. Yours may or may not say row, that doesn't matter. All right? But if you do a Command F, that's a search. That's F for find. You've done that in other languages before. Nothing new there. All right? And of course, let's see. Now I got to remember the darn name for it. And I think I have it over here. Let's see.
Number of rows and selection.
Yeah, it's something like that. But I want to make sure I'm giving you the right one so you don't type in a bunch of stuff you don't need to. There it is. Okay. So what you're going to type in here, you can type it in the right case, but you don't have to. And Luke was right. It's what we want to type in here is number of rows in section. Do you notice when I typed that in where it went? Can you see that there in yellow? Don't do anything with that because we don't want that one. All right, but you see it? If I click the button here, that one right there, it should find the next one. That's the one we want. So I'm going to click that one. All right. So you see that? This is the one we want. So literally, you can grab that whole line. Just before you do, just so you know. We don't use the word public. Public is put in there because that means it's available for anyone to use. So either copy all of it or leave off the word public and just grab everything to the end of that line, copy it to your clipboard, go back to your program, and right before your final ending right curly brace, paste it in. If you have any problems doing that, raise your hand. Hell, John will help you.
That's a lot easier to type in all that.
Well, like I said, the IntelliSense, it keeps trying to figure out, you can turn the IntelliSense off, which probably would be just as easy a way to do it.
Yeah.
But, you know, so then you'd be like turning it off, turning it on again, and it's kind of a pain.
Yeah, I hit tab on the first time around and
If you get an error message, don't worry about it. All right? Everybody get that done? Yeah, right near the bottom. Okay? So, we still want to use this, just so you know. So please look up on the screen here. Before I had you click on that one, now, nope, I didn't think it was that one. I think it's this one up here. That's what we want. So now, click on this one right here. Not the one that's over there, the one that's way up on the top, this one. All right, right by where it says automatic, and like that should bring you back to your code. All right, and hopefully you've got that line of code in there. Now, if you typed in the word public, get rid of it. But everything else should be okay, except you have to add a curly brace at the end. So add a left curly, hit enter, and that'll throw in your right curly, correct? All right. Then you can type in here, return 10. And that's how many rows you're going to have in your table. So I'm returning those first 10 rows. If you want to only return 5, then just make it a 5. You can, you know, you could have 1, but that'd be kind of a stupid table. But you could do that. You could make 1,000, but it'd take you a while to scroll your way through them too. All right. Let me just tell you that this line of code that you see right here, normally, where it says return 10 like that, you normally would not hard code a number in there. All right? I didn't know how we'd be for time, so I had another example before this one. All right? But I just didn't even put it out there. So we can even do that next time. But normally what you're going to do is you'll have something like an array. And the array might have a list of users or a list of whatever. Okay? And instead of saying return with a number, you'd say return the name of the array dot count. Does that make sense? That's normally how you do it. We're hard coding a value in there which you typically would not do. All right? All right. If you go back to your code again, or to your, do this again, what we did before, the command, and go back to the code we were at before. All right, remember when we did this and we did the command F, we put number of rows in section. All right, and we found that second one. There was the first one, and there's the second one. Okay? This does not look right. That's the second one. Okay, good. So is that where you are right now? Is that where everybody is? I'm asking. Either that or I have to walk over to 6 people and check. All right. The other one that we want is this one down here. But again, we don't want the public. We don't want the available iOS 2.0 comma star. We want it from func, table view, cell, all that stuff, and that next line. So you can copy all that and put it right under the one you just put in. Oh, just take the easiest way. Just take your mouse, put it over where it says UI table view.
Oh.
Hold down on command again. Not fine. I think I've done it. Take your mouse, just single click right there. That should have been how you did it before.
Yeah. No,
All right.
it's not.
Otherwise, try clicking. Well, it's got to be one of these. Try clicking that button right there. Yes. So does it make sense? We want that one down here, but we want to copy in func, table view colon UI table view, cells for row at index path, NS index path with a UI table view cell. So you want everything from func through here, all that stuff. And again, put it right under the curly brace that you put in after you said return 10. So copy it right in there. We'll finish this part up and then we'll take a break. The good news is we really and truly don't have that much more to do. Did anybody have any problems copying that in? So again, ideally when you go back to your code and you pasted it in, this is what we have left. All right? So you just copied in this right here that you see in blue, not very good blue, but you see it kind of in blue. All right? You've again got to add a curly here, and that's all the code for you to put in. Now I'm assuming that you used the same names that I used. So if you changed and used your own names, okay, you're going to have to update your code accordingly. Okay? So I'll give you time. Let's start up again at about 4:15. Hopefully in 5 minutes or so you can type that in. All right, take a break for 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll start back up again. Because we're done, basically, I just want to explain all the code to you. All right? And after we do that, and hopefully with everyone's working, all right, we'll go back and we'll quickly create another table view just so I can show you something else. Okay? Then next time when we start, we're going to do two things. We're going to first talk about NS user defaults, then we're going to build that entire to-do list. Okay? I really and truly hope, and I'm not mentioning names, you know who you are, but people who are not here today, all right, I hope are watching the tapes. All right? That's why I went back. That's why I created this stuff. And I'm going to, if I can find the time, I'm going to try to go back and the tape that I did last time where we didn't have the video, I'm going to try to redo that next week. Let me just tell you, when I first wrote this, I didn't have any of this stuff in there. All I had basically was, like for the ones, it would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Get the idea? So it didn't say 1 times 1 equal 1. It just said 1. So I decided that wasn't very informative, so I added this. And the way I did it is really pretty butt ugly. I'm sure there's a much better way to do it, but when it's 3 minutes to 3, you kind of just, you know, when you're starting class at 3, you just kind of just put it in there. So that's what I did. So again, I'm going to give you a couple minutes. Then what I'm going to do is I want to produce this so I can put it out there right away. So in a couple minutes after 4, what I'm going to do is for just a second, I'm going to stop taping and do all the stuff, but then I'll bring the file back up again. All right? But I think that, at least with some of you, probably the best thing in the world for you right now would be to take a break for a few minutes. This is another one, Luke. If you look in there, that one is in there too.
Yeah.
But you have to go search for that one. You know, but it's kind of a pain.
Yeah, I tried to do the IntelliSense first, and it gave me a mess. But yeah.
You'll find it. There are a lot of those.
I gotta say, the IntelliSense is great on this, and even that option to be able to search like that's unbelievable. I really like it.
I will try to put this one and have this one actually out there on the system by the time I leave tonight. The other one, I'll do that when I get home tonight. All right. So the second part of this that we do after the break won't be up there until later tonight. That's what I'm saying. I want to start producing this. It's going to go away for 30 seconds, and then it's going to come back. All right. So please, don't let it bother you that it's going away. It'll be right back.